everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Kind of Different, a podcast where we talk about innovation in dental care and I would say healthcare in general. We connect with some absolutely phenomenal, amazing people. Today is absolutely no exception to that. I'm super excited to have the conversation today. And we talk about how we all together, it is a group effort, 100% a team effort. How do we all together make dental care more human? Because your patient's experience in your office becomes my patient's experience in my office, becomes their experience with their kids, somewhere else, right? Like it is all of our job to work together to do that. And I am Dr. Matt Allen, the CEO and co-founder of Different Kind, and your host for Kind of Different. And today I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by someone who I saw recently on a webinar, and I was just like blown away. I was like, whoa, this person gets it and is just like really on point and is excited and passionate. And I was like, we would have a great conversation. So Dr. Layla Lohmann, who is the co-founder and clinical director at Apex Dental Partners, as well as being a practicing clinician down in Texas. She is joining us today, and I'm absolutely thrilled. So ready for the conversation. You're going to have fun if you're a listener. I think, Layla, you're going to have fun as the guest.
I know I'm going to have fun, Matt.
I'm going to have fun. We're all going to have fun. Let's go. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me, Matt. I think what you're doing in the space is incredibly different, kind of different. Love the name. And I really appreciate those kind words you said about the webinar. My name is Dr. Layla Lohmann. I am a human, number one. I am a practicing clinician, co-founder, clinical director, like you said, but I am a mom of two amazing humans. I've been with my partner, David Lohmann, husband, for over 21 years. And we have a company that we've grown together. But more importantly, I focus on the proactive patient care approach. Healthcare professional. I call myself the primary care provider of the oral cavity because restorative dentistry is how they taught us, but they really should have been teaching us how to be the oral systemic connection and how to help our patients keep their teeth till after they're 90. So I'm excited about the conversations. I love talking. So where do we go?
Let's go. Let's dive in. Well, we always start with innovation. And I think one of the good place to start here, right, is what you just mentioned, right, in terms of lots of talk today about medical dental integration, oral systemic connection, minimally invasive dentistry, all that stuff. We don't learn about that stuff in dental school, right? In general, at least I didn't. Right. You probably didn't, right? And so I think that's changing somewhat. But one of the things that I think is interesting is you're creating a model where people can learn that. People can come into that and not have to figure it out by themselves and whatnot. So just tell us a little bit about how you're innovating in terms of like the culture that you want to create within your organization to have all of what you just talked about be the norm, be what's expected, be what people, both clinicians, patients, everyone else in the practice is used to and experiencing. That, to me, that's a lot of organizational change. And that's one of the innovations that I'm most interested in. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's a long answer that I'm going to answer. We can break this up.
We're going deep right now.
We're going deep right now. Well, really, after COVID, we had this epiphany that like life was changing. I mean, it was utter chaos in the world. And I was always a restorative doctor. I was a conservative dentist. And I always thought that was ethical. And then as COVID happened and just different things happened with our organization, I realized that nothing is safe. But in reality, if you come from a preventative standpoint, proactive healthcare professional, that I could help my patients have a better, healthier life. And not just my patients, my family, right? Because all of my patients are my family and my friends. Everyone in my community, my kids' school, they come to me. And so when I thought about I was helping them, I was just waiting and watching everything get worse. And it was really humbling to say that because as you know about me, like I love people, I love dentistry. And so over the last 4 years, we've developed programs. I went through my personal leadership program from Guiding Leaders from Glidewell, and it changed my life, understanding that my communication style was so different than my patients and even my husband. And part of the problem and challenge was the roadblock was me and how I was communicating the conditions. And even with my teams, like most of the miscommunications was I wasn't holding myself accountable to communicating the way that you needed to hear your condition. So I leveraged AI and I did not like it at first. I wanted to throw it out the window. I perfected the art of discussing shades of gray. Okay. I was really good at it, Matt. So are you probably. But AI helped us bring color for my patients to understand this is a cavity. And I didn't want to trust it at first because it was like, I can't even see it. But the cool thing about AI is we are trained to see up to 30 to 50 shades of gray. Just studies show that. And AI can see up to 800. So if I can be that much more preventative for my patients, for my family, for myself, Why are we not having those conversations? And then dental health scans. I remember before dental health scans, I would try to convince the patient with intraorals and show them the breaking the tooth and like trying to explain your other side looks the same way. And then I was always convincing them. So, like,
Mhm.
a lot of our energy was trying to educate, but I
Yeah.
was literally trying to convince them, right? So then the dental health scans came, and I was like, it reduced the burden of convincing because it's your condition.
Right.
So, as I started learning communication, inward and outward mindset, relational leadership, and
Mhm.
tying in all of those things and being the professional I always should have been without worrying my patient's going to think it's going to cost me a lot. It's going
Mhm.
to do this. My insurance doesn't cover it. My job is to explain what your condition is and tell you the resources I have to help you and support you, whether it's to fix it, whether it's to prevent it. And that's where I started saying, let's always look from prevention. So we created this proactive patient care playbook that
Mhm.
has from all the top three conditions, right?
Yep. Yep.
Caries. It goes traditional was fluoride,
Yep.
strengthening teeth. Great. Now what? And then I've done silver diamond for over 10 years before the ADA approved it. And
Yep.
everyone was like, oh my gosh, that's awful. They're turning it black. And I'm like, but I'm arresting the disease state. So like it's reframing what I was doing.
Mhm.
And then Cure Not Repair, started that 2 years ago. It's a guided regeneration of nanohydroxyapatite. I laughed at them when they first came to me. I was like, they never taught me that. That you're liars. No. Gordon Christensen said to cut. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
And so it just started becoming so natural for me to prevent disease as my
Mhm.
promise, which
Mhm.
reduced the stress
Mhm.
of things. So I treat the same way with periodontal disease. I used to say my patients are just a little bit of bleeding, or I used to say gingivitis is a fancy word for bleeding gums. I was trying to minimize it so it made my patients feel good. It's a condition. It's reversible. I caught it early. And now here's how I treat it. Cervitec Plus, laser, Arrestin, all of the things that cost money, but that's how the resource I have to treat your condition. What was cool, Matt, was they can always say no.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get offended, but I
Right.
should always have that conversation. So we created a doctor development program, and we're building in 2026. We have an empowerment program for career development for all of our professionals that we
Mhm.
support. It's over almost 750 team members. And we just find that this is now our culture. This is now what we believe is how we should treat all our patients, all our team members, because our team members are our patients. Like that's, you try to humanize this, and everyone is just like, restore, restore, restore. I'm great at restorative. Why don't we become preventative and focus on that? And then what you do is get payers to start paying us to prevent the disease instead of paying 3 times as much to fix the disease. So that's a little bit about what we're doing in our organization. We're not perfect. It's not like we're human, and we're going to continue to fail forward, which is the cool part about it. And as a practicing clinician who's still doing this, I'm still don't love change, but now I embrace it that like I ask from curiosity. Like I
Mhm.
don't correct things anymore. That's the old version of Layla.
Yeah.
This one is like, help me understand a couple more things. This is confusing to me.
Yeah. Oof, that's
So
so good. I love that. I love that. Like, I feel like same tell a similar story, right? In some ways around just that professional development. And I don't think I ever, when I was probably younger, would have started a sentence with, I'm curious, tell me more about this, right? And now I say that all the time because I really am curious. And it's like, I want to learn and I want to know. So absolutely love that. Tell me a little bit more about, so thinking about this from the patient perspective, and obviously we'll talk about making healthcare more human and whatever, but just from the patient perspective, how have they responded to that? So you obviously went through this whole change with your staff and all of that, and you probably had some of the same patients, right? And I found myself when I was in clinical practice is like, hey, this might feel a little different, just since like not the shot or anything like that, right? Or whatever we're doing, but like, hey, like this interaction, your experience here might feel a little different, and that's we would kind of talk about it in that way. But tell me how patients have responded to, hey, this is probably going to feel different than where other places that you may have been or other experiences that you may have had, or another experience that you may have had within our organization, because now we're different than we were 5 years ago.
well, so we're a non-branded model. So most patients, we're private practice reimagined. So most, it will never touch that patient experience.
Yep.
It's supporting the practices. So
Yep.
I will talk from my practice level
Yep.
because
Yep.
I
Great.
didn't treat malocclusion for 10 years. I mean, I sent them to ortho, straight teeth and were pretty, and now straight teeth are healthy. So it makes my dentistry more predictable. So
Mm,
it was really uncomfortable at first
mm,
because I had to go tell a patient who's been with me for 10 years that they need clear aligners, and it's also going to cost 5 grand. And so it was, there was a learning curve.
Mhm.
And so the patient experience was they've loved the technology.
Mm,
I haven't had one person say they hate it.
mm,
It's added to my patient case acceptance. Like I went from 22% to 55%.
mm,
And it just keeps going up because it allows me to not like use all my words because it's right up there. They see the black, they see the tartar, they see the redness. And so the patient experience elevated, which most of them like my other person's never done this. And I say that these can detect things 10 times quicker than me. And I'm
mm,
prevention is a promise. And
mhm,
so even for patients with me that have been for 14 years, right? Like it's very humbling to say, once I know better, I have to do better. And
mhm,
also holding my team accountable was a little rough for like
mm.
18 months, if not longer. Like full disclosure, in the
Yep.
grand scheme of things, every day felt like a really long day until like I finally got it smooth.
Yeah.
There's times where my team doesn't have the AI or the dental health scan on the patient facing screen.
Yep.
And we'll be walking and they'll be transferring the trust and telling me about the patient. And I'll be like, is everything up on the patient facing the screen? And they'll say, oh, no. And I literally just walk back to my room because
Mm,
I can't be this truest version of myself for my patients
yep.
without those tools now. And so my team accountability had to get a little bit of a jump start. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, totally. I think it's great. It's like that's like the real stuff, right? Like that, that's the real journey through that. And I think one of the things as we think about, what that means for you, right, personally and who you are right now, I always tell people that, like one of my promises in making this podcast is like, look, like you're gonna learn stuff about the people that join as guests, like who are it's not on their LinkedIn, all of that stuff, right? And I think your, personal development journey in that is all really interesting as well, right? Because it sounds like the ability to do what kind of know do I don't know exactly how you said it, but essentially like once you know better you got to do better essentially, right? That requires
That was
courage.
Maya Angelou, by the way. That was not
Okay,
me.
okay, there you go, thanks Maya. But the ability for to lean into that and that like to be uncomfortable, to be courageous, to be brave, to do all of that stuff. It sounds like went through this program at Gladwell. Talk just to us a little bit more about that kind of personal journey. So you've kind of given us like, hey, this is what it felt like in the office. This is maybe what it felt like from staff or patients. Like, walk me through what it felt like for you, not not the outside, but the inside.
No, that's it's actually like one of the most things that I'm passionate about was everything in my life is my choice.
Mm,
And I had to understand what that meant. When I went home to my kids and like I'd been with 15 patients and given them all my energy. And then I come home and they're like, Mommy. And I'm like my energy was just drained. And it was years of that, like 8 years. And I felt like my life was happening to me.
mm,
And most people who know me, I went to OU. I'm very outgoing. No one would have imagined this. And I wouldn't even have imagined it, but I'm a recovering people pleaser. And that journey was like your identity was to like get people what they needed. And whatever your identity is, I lost Layla somewhere in there based on
mm,
like, I'm an Iranian American, I'm a twin, like all the circumstances like shaped me. And then my son had serious medical conditions and had to have 6 surgeries his first year of life. And that was 1 year after we started our company. So I was really hands off because I was managing like patients and life. So I feel like I lost part of myself. And then
mm,
after COVID and seeing my husband have anxiety, and I've never
mm,
seen that before, he's the strongest human I've ever known. And I was like, got to figure something out. And I think everyone had that little epiphany. And so I changed how I approached dentistry in a more proactive way instead of conservative. And then in 2023, like my chief clinical officer sent me an email and he's like, "Hey, look into this." And I thought he was telling me I was a bad leader. Like you know how you like make a story up in your
yep,
head like, "Hey,
totally.
you should read this book."
Yeah.
Right?
Because obviously you're deficient in that area, right? It's like when you tell one of your kids that like they look nice or whatever, the other one's like, "Wait, what are you like? So I don't look nice?" You're like, "Did I say that? No, I just complimented the other child." Like,
Yes, exactly the same way. And the funny thing is I've asked him since then. I'm like, "Hey, did you mean that?" He goes, "No, I just thought it looked cool and I sent it to you because it was for females." And I was like, "Oh, well, you changed my life with that email." But it was a 6-month process. Like it was 6 weekends. You had to fly out. all the CE was covered. So the program still exists. And now they
Mm.
actually invited men to join it too. So that they expanded their cohort. And I think I went into it to being like, what's next? Like, I'm
Yeah.
tired of dentistry. I need something to reinvigorate me. It's 13 years in. And I had to talk to my husband because I was leaving my kids like for 2 full days for 6 months. It was 70 hours almost.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Why do you wanna do it?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, you would ask me that." I don't know. Make money a different way? I don't know. I don't know. But he said, "Do you wanna do it?" And he's always supported me even if I didn't know my why yet. So that's
Mm.
been great. So I've always had that safety net. So I did it, and I think I was also still in my own head originally. Like, we did inward and outward mindset from Arbinger Institute, DISC, communication workshop, and then they sprinkled in clinical for the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And it really started compounding. I had to let go of controlling everything of
Mm.
what other people think of me, about what my patients think about me. And that journey gave me permission to be me.
Mm.
And if you don't want to have that conversation with me, I respect that. We can be acquaintances.
Yep.
And I realized I was draining my energy. I was a recovering overthinker, a recovering people pleaser. And really, I let people do that. I let people trigger me. And once I learned how to learn about my triggers, and this is like a 2-year journey, I'm still living it. I'm still learning. I'm no longer my own roadblock. And so that's been freeing to me. It's like liberating. One day I was flying back from California and I said, I'm not going to control it. You know how your kids knock on your door when you're in the bathroom and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, hold on. Or you're brushing your teeth and you turn it off and even it's been 2 minutes, right?
Yep.
You turn it off and you're like, yeah, yeah, I'll go help you. I no
Yep.
longer let them do that. I do the 2 minutes. I go when I ready, and you can see the energy change from who I used to be to who I am
Mm.
today is like a game changer. And it's only been made me more effective. Like, I became a more effective clinical director, wife, because I never lost Layla. Like, I've never lost Thurston for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's been the cool interpersonal journey for me.
I love
And
it.
it's going to take me a lifetime to continue that, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's like the beginning of the journey right now. You're like, okay, cool. Like, what are the next years hold, right? With this like whole like new mindset, right? I love that. Well, one of the things this is to me, this is an interesting through line here. So you talk about like kind of realizing that from a clinical perspective, and it sounds like it's somewhat coinciding, right? But then like leading your organization through that, figuring
Yeah.
that out for yourself of like, hey, here's what I've been doing, and then how has that impacted your team? I guess the question here is really around as we think about like then making healthcare more human, right? Like we can't have these human experiences with our patients if we're not authentic to ourselves and we're not, our team are not able to be their best selves and all of those things. So how have you then taken what you're learning, personally and helped your team and the organization that you lead kind of say, okay, cool. Like, yeah, we did that clinically, but here's the next step for us.
Yeah, so I'll start with my team first because you have to get data to support it. So I had to show my journey and I was the case study.
Yep.
I sat them down after my let go moment of control, be present, stop seeking other things. Everything will come when you're ready. You
Mm.
know how people say, like, you keep trying to open doors? It's like, well, take a minute and look for a second, like that door might be open, right? And I think it's a more thoughtful approach. So I
Yep.
sat them down. And here's the thing, I used to go through dental assistants and wonder what was wrong with me every 2 years. Like, I would empower one to go to real estate, the other one would retire. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, how do I not keep a team? I'm really good at my job. I'm so flexible. And then I realized people need a little bit of structure. I
Mm.
was so Energizer Bunny that it made their life a little bit harder. And I didn't realize that. So I sat them down in July of 2023. My 2 dental assistants are still with me today. I didn't go to my whole team. I like start off small and I said, hey, I'm going to slow things down. I'm going to be more thoughtful. I'm going to stop rushing. I'm still always going to have the energy. I'm still going to be the same person, but I'm going to be present instead of worrying about everything about what's happening next. Are
Mhm.
you guys in this journey with me? And their faces were like, yeah, yes, yes. I don't know what to say to this.
What do you want us to say? Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And like, you will see that I've now helped them be that version of themselves for 2 years. And I've translated that into the organization because now I'm a
Mm.
case study of supported practice with Apex Dental Partners. And what are they supporting my professional and personal development? So I leveraged vendor relationships to offset some of the costs. I understand the business side. I
Yep.
understand I can't lose production all the time, but our doctors grew 24% of
Mm.
income, personal income, by going through our journey.
Mm.
And now it's a life changing experience because now they're going to do it within their practices. So the 2 year is I first had to show the ROI from our doctors. And then now we're doing the business managers, the leadership teams. And then they keep telling me no. And then I say, not yet. What more information do you need? And then now we built this program because I was like, I want every person, every professional in our practice. Like I mentioned earlier, we
Hmm.
were off recording, but
Yep.
I think everyone in our practice is a healthcare professional. And there's administrative professionals, there's clinical professionals, but building that confidence to give that patient the care that they need and the experience, you have to build confidence in the people around you. And then you have to combat their life, their outside, their problems. It's not my problem. It's not my job to make you happy. It's my job to foster a relationship and an environment that supports collaboration about my patient's conditions, and they accept the care I prescribe. So now in 2026, we've got an empowerment growth pathway program for all professionals.
Mm.
If you want to learn P&Ls, you got to do the prerequisites. You got to do all the prerequisites like college, but you can learn everything that I'm teaching a doctor by doing the prerequisites. It's going to be an open forum for any team member that wants to learn. You have to choose to invest the time. You have to take that step forward. And that's what you can't train.
Right. Yeah, the attitude there. I love that. Just the idea, I think even of it's a flattening of the hierarchy in so many ways, right?
Mhm.
Where I think so many practices, especially in healthcare, just in general, feel like, and, like, I don't know, like, I just think there's so many places where it feels like, people feel like they're up in the ivory towers, and then you got the front desk and, like
Yeah.
people, and they're like, I don't feel at all remotely connected to that person,
Yeah.
even if we're working for the same organization, And so to me, it feels like that flattening of the hierarchy has got to create more efficient, more friendly, more, happier people in general.
You said connectedness too. So a lot of this is everything is in relation to each other. We
Right.
all start trying to say we're two separate things. There's a space in between. I'm reading this book called You and We and from Jim Farrell, and it's interesting because you try to separate things, right? Like, well, you're different. What are you thinking about? Well, why don't we embrace the differences and see like what's the space in between? And so I'm halfway through the book. It's really interesting, but I think that's what's going to elevate even my organization to the next step is I did communication. I
Hmm.
did mindset. Now it's actually about relationships and how do we measure that? And they have a measurement and diagnostic tool to measure connectedness. And it's
Yeah.
like really interesting to like start realizing like we would have never met had I not become this proactive professional. And people always like, well, do you get paid to do this stuff? I'm like, no, I get paid to do my real job. This is sharing your story to do the impact. Like information should be free. I
Yeah.
don't compete with any other DSO. I compete to be the best for my people, for my practice, for myself. And if I do that, it's the ripple effect that I need. That's the impact I can make. Everyone starts worrying about that next stuff.
Yep.
You can't control any of that shit.
Yep.
Like, that really steals my energy. No
Yeah.
thanks.
100%. Well, and I love what you continue to say too, just about like, hey, this isn't for everyone, right? And
Yes.
that, actually, like, I mean, my brother-in-law, I coach my son's soccer team, like competitive soccer team, and there's always like parent dynamics that are
Yes.
interesting. My brother-in-law is like a competitive lacrosse coach, and whatever, and he's like, we have this director who comes in to talk to the parents every year, and he's like was a professional lacrosse player. Everyone like really respects him, and he comes in and he sits down and he's just like, look, it's a long hallway with a lot of doors. You're welcome to choose any of the other ones. Like, next question, right? Like when a parent will be like, and just that idea of like, look, it's a long hallway with a lot of doors. This is not for everyone. Like, it's working obviously for you.
Yeah.
Everything seems better, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't. One of the things that I think is most impressive here, and we talk about this a lot, just in general about like change within the profession, is that it's easier to start an organization from scratch with like, hey, if you started today, Layla, like it would probably have been an easier journey for you in some ways, right? To like help all these practices change, do all the things within Apex, right? Because they've never known anything different.
Yeah.
It is very, very difficult to say like, hey, we're doing one thing and now we're going to like change what that looks like,
Yeah. 10 years
and
later.
to keep everyone, on the same track, to keep everyone on the same path. Like that's really, really challenging. And so, the fact that you've been able to do that in such an effective way, I think speaks to like, hey, look, like, if you're going to opt out, great. Like you're not forcing anyone. You're like inviting them along for the ride if they want to come, but you're not, and it's the same thing with patient treatment, all that stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
here's what's going on. You're welcome to do nothing. You're welcome to do this. You're welcome to do that. Like
Yeah.
the
I
choice is
literally
ultimately
use the
yours, right?
language. I'm happy for you to pay for it whenever. I'm trying to prevent it from happening. Like
Mm,
I'm here to fix it when you're ready.
yeah.
And it's really freeing because it's like you don't have to do anything. You're going to have to at some point. But you actually mentioned something about the hierarchy.
Mm,
I think that is even people elevate this. Like when people talk about me, I'm like, I'm just Layla. I mean, like, yes, I'm co-founder and I'm, all these things, but those are just things that I've done in my life.
Mm.
And I'm very free with information. You want to learn how to do it? Call me up. Here's my cell phone number, 405-414-1083. I mean, I don't answer numbers I don't know, but like real,
Leave a
it's
message.
yeah, leave a message. But like, if we get to share this information and stop competing against each other, and same thing with the payers, and stop forcing everything to be this. It is a business. I understand profitability. I understand I can't keep top talent unless I'm making good money. But if patients accept the care you prescribe and you prescribe in a proactive way, profitability follows because you're always going to break a tooth. I'm not even 100% compliant. I'm a patient advocate for thyroid eye disease. And he's like, put eye drops in 7 times a day. I'm like, oh, that's not happening. So if
Yeah.
I'm never 100% compliant, we just understand that that's just natural, but we still need to be doing that. And you mentioned parent dynamics.
Mm.
That's a whole other ball game. Like trying to like make friends with parents and like all those other things. Like there's just so many places that steal your energy, but
Mm.
that's a little bit where like you get lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the hallway, put on a flashlight and open the door and you can go put that flashlight on. And I think that's the thing that changed about me is like I
Mm.
get to have this life. I'm
Yeah.
not guaranteed tomorrow. Something awful could happen. So why don't I just make the biggest impact I can today for my patients, my team, my family, and then most importantly to myself. Like if you lose yourself, I can't be the best version of any other Layla's hats at all. They would all fucking fall.
That is the perfect place for us to say this is like this has been a great episode. We could continue this
Thanks.
conversation for a long time.
It was a
And
pleasure.
you like put a perfect bow on it right there. So I love it. Yeah. I know people are going to want to like get in touch with you. You've already given them your phone number, but so you're going to have lots more numbers probably calling you that you don't know. If people want to get in touch with you in a way that you might respond to them, what's a better way? And granted, you probably would respond to that message knowing you, but tell us that your preferred way for people to get in touch with you to learn more
Yes.
about you, Apex, whatever it might be.
So if you want to learn more about Apex Dental Partners, go to apexdp.com. Private practice reimagined. It's considered supported dentistry. I call it the third option in dentistry. If you want to get a hold of me, that I will respond much quicker. It's my email, drlohmann, Lohmann, Dr. Lohmann at dallasdental.com. But again, like I said, you could text me, you can call me. And I just hope that everyone who's listening just keeps doing what they're supposed to be doing. And thank you for having me.
Oh, it's really been a pleasure. Like, love the conversation, love the energy. Excited to continue to see the impact that you make in the world, and the continued change that you bring to your organization, your patients, your family, all of those things, and to Layla ultimately. So, thank you
Thanks.
so much for taking the time.
Hi, everybody.